Best science fiction books of all time. Number 1. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. On a stormy summer night in 1816, 18-year-old Mary Shelley sat down to write a ghost story. What poured from her pen that fateful night would change the world, revolutionizing our understanding of artificial life, bewitching generations of readers, and pioneering science fiction as we now know it. Even the uninitiated reader knows the story's familiar bones. Dr. Victor Frankenstein builds a creature out of scavenged body parts, recoils from his creation, then sees all that he loves destroyed by his spurned progeny. In this landmark novel, Shelley fused a primordial parable with the upheavals and anxieties of the Industrial Revolution, and in doing so, laid the foundation for the themes and constructs of science fiction. Number 2. Dune by Frank Herbert. Where would we be without Dune, the granddaddy of contemporary science fiction? The world's best-selling sci-fi novel of all time paved the way for Alien, Blade Runner, stars both Wars and Trek, and countless other cultural tentpoles. Set far into the future, Dune envisions an intergalactic feudal society where powerful noble houses vie for control over resources, armies, and planetary power. At the center of it all is Arrakis, an inhospitable desert planet home to giant sandworms, a mysterious indigenous population, and the valuable natural resource spice. When young Paul Atreides is targeted as a potential messiah to lead the planet and the galaxy toward a new future, an epic story of war, betrayal, and mysticism unfolds. Frighteningly original and thematically ambitious, Dune offers a masterclass in the power of science fiction not just to entertain, but to examine the cultural landscapes and ethical questions of our time. Religion, colonialism, and environmentalism all come under Herbert's microscope, as do the limitations of the hero's journey. No more terrible disaster could befall your people than for them to fall into the hands of a hero, Herbert warns ominously. No science fiction hero has stepped lightly since. Number 3. The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury. Radically poetic and rich with metaphor, The Martian Chronicles was an astonishing leap forward for a genre until then not considered sufficiently literary. Bradbury's succession of linked stories opens on an Earth ravaged by nuclear warfare. In search of a new beginning, Americans pack up their manifest destiny and blast off to conquer Mars. But little do they know, the Red Planet will conquer them in return. Bradbury's Mars is a dreamlike landscape of wasted cities, populated by a dwindling race of ancient, unknowable beings. In glimmering stories that swing from dark tragedy to pure comedy, Bradbury showcases mankind's exploration and desolation of Mars, all while dismantling mid-century mythologies of American exceptionalism. Told in language at once elegiac and sinister, fantastical, and fable-like, The Martian Chronicles transforms and transcends its genre. Number 4. The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. The fifth season introduces a characteristically Jemisinian feat of astonishing world-building. The Stillness, a dangerous continent racked with volcanoes, earthquakes, and tectonic chaos. There live the Orogenes, who have the power to manipulate the elements, but face persecution and lynching. Through the linked narratives of three extraordinary women, Jemisin depicts the tragedy of an Orogene's life with brutal, unsparing detail. As these unforgettable characters seek safety and agency, Jemisin weaves a shattering story about systemic oppression, where gritty glimmers of hope shine through the bleak edges. Number 5. Kindred by Octavia Butler. Perhaps her best-known novel, stood out above the rest as a masterclass in the ability of science fiction to speak to the contemporary moment. This is the story of Donna, a black woman in Los Angeles circa 1976, who finds herself violently transported back in time to the antebellum plantation where her ancestors were enslaved. Each time she pinballs through past and present, Dana's stays at the plantation become longer and more dangerous, forcing her to confront the gruesome legacies of slavery, misogyny, and white supremacy. Number 6. The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. This barrier-breaking first contact narrative opens on the planet Gethin, where Earth-born emissary Genli I is dispatched to broker an interplanetary alliance. The ambisexual Gethinians live without gender binaries, meaning that they've developed a world without war, where children are raised communally. A's inability to think beyond his own misogyny and homophobia threatens his mission, imperils his life, and endangers his growing connection with Estraven, Gethin's disgraced prime minister, in this visionary work of radical imagination. Number 7. Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. One can't say too much about Never Let Me Go without spoiling the novel's gut-wrenching twist, but here's what we can reveal. In Ishiguro's chilling magnum opus, we meet 3 students of Hailsham, a quixotic English boarding school where sheltered children are educated in the arts and taught nothing of the outside world. Only when they become adults do they learn the shocking truth about Hailsham's nefarious activities and the reality of their terrible purpose. At once an arresting mystery, a gothic romance, and a tear-jerking work of science fiction, Never Let Me Go is a masterpiece of tension and tone, as well as a powerful indictment of a future shaped by science without ethics. Number 8. Exhalation by Ted Chiang. In this stellar collection of short stories, one of the most award-winning science fiction writers of our time tees up 9 brilliant tales of time travel, artificial intelligence, and alternate universes. The collection opens with a Hugo Award-winning parable set in ancient Baghdad, where a merchant traveling through an alchemist's portal learns a familiar lesson about the impossibility of erasing the past. In another standout, a software tester spends an emotional 2 decades raising an artificial intelligence as if it were a digital pet. The remarkable title story, structured as a journal entry by a mechanical scientist dissecting his own brain, offers profound wisdom about consciousness. Through lean, thought-provoking prose, Chiang renders stories about man and machines deeply felt and deeply human. Number 9. Station 11 by Emily Street John Mandel. Set before, during, and after the lethal Georgian flu snuffs out 99% of the world's population, taking the familiar contours of human civilization along with it, Station 11 is the incandescent tale of the traveling symphony, a nomadic troupe of actors and musicians who perform Shakespeare for the scattered settlements of the Great Lakes region. Along the road, they encounter a violent cult leader known only as the Prophet, who preaches that the virus was an act of God, a divine cleansing of the unworthy. Where so many post-apocalyptic novels traffic in the forces that divide us, Station 11 celebrates that which allows us not just to survive, but to live, making art, belonging to something bigger than ourselves, searching tirelessly for what it means to be human. Haunting and lovely, Station 11 is at once an elegy for a lost world and a paean to the human spirit. Number 10. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. Set in an abandoned San Francisco after World War terminus radioactive fallout has destroyed the Earth, this short gut punch of a novel finds its central theme in empathy. Can androids experience it? Are humans who lack it any better than machines? Do androids dream of electric sheep? Asks more questions than it answers, reveling in ambiguity about just what separates man from machine. Like all the best science fiction, its weighty foray into what makes us human will linger with you for a long time. The Three-Body Problem by Cixin Liu, a gripping first-contact thriller set against the backdrop of China's Cultural Revolution. When a young physicist comes to work at the government's secretive Red Coast base, she soon learns that frontier scientists are communicating with extraterrestrials, and they're planning to make a hostile visit. Enormous in scope, rich in both twisty-turny mysteries and big ideas about progress, The Three-Body Problem marks the ascension of a writer bound to become every bit as canonical as Arthur C. Clarke or Isaac Asimov. Number 12, 1984, by George Orwell. In a world where concerns about privacy, government overreach, and freedom of information are more relevant than ever, 1984 continues to frighten and astound. Published in 1949, Orwell's masterpiece is the chilling story of a rebellious Ministry of Truth bureaucrat. Through his eyes, we glimpse a terrifying, tyrannical society where independent thought is a crime and truth is a fiction. All these decades later, 1984 still looms large in our cultural imagination, from its perch in our curriculum to its pervasive influence on our language. It's difficult to imagine any science fiction novel with more influence. Number 13, The Employees by Olga Ravn. The Employees accomplishes more in 136 pages than some sci-fi novels do in 500. On a ship hurtling through deep space, humans and humanoids work together under a rigid corporate hierarchy. When they land on New Discovery, crew members retrieve mysterious objects that exert a strange power over man and machine alike, awakening dreams, memories, and longing. Humans mourn their lost connections on Earth, while their humanoid colleagues yearn for connections they've never known. Constructed as a series of witness statements from the crew, gathered after tensions with their oppressive employer boil over, The Employees is an unforgettable novel about the psychic costs of labor under capitalism. Yet it also reaches deeper to explore science fiction's animating questions. What makes us human? Which of us is more human, person, or robot? Is a synthetic life still a life? Dreamlike and sensual, The Employees shouldn't be missed.